Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It is week 2 of the NFL season. We got some great storylines this week. The NFL is just so awesome. So here we are with the Millionaire Maker trying to have more fun watching these games and make some money. Um, just a little review from last week. Last week my lineup stunk it up. Sometimes that's gonna happen, when you're trying to capitalize on the probability of just one event and trying to maximize that. It's not always going to hit. And last week it was a San Francisco Tampa Bay game. My thought process was it was one of the highest point total games, and I was assuming these two defenses were terrible. There should be a lot of points. Really, there was a lot of turnovers. And a lot of the guys I played just did not work out well, but that's all right. It's going to happen. So we're going to dust this dirt off our shoulder and move on. This week, we are going to start with defense as I always do, and not even going to think about it too much, but I saw Houston at home. I like Houston at home this week. After that tough loss against the Saints that came down to, last minutes of the fourth quarter, I think they come out at home and, try to set the tone here with their defense, and they're playing against the rookie Minshew, which looked good when Foles got hurt, but in the NFL, you can't, when the rookie plays like that for a couple quarters, you can't expect that to continue. Now with the full week, the Texans will have plenty of time to scheme to play against Minshew and find his tendencies and whatnot. So that's where we're gonna start. Okay, now let's go to running back. One thing I like to start with also, if you guys don't know, a lot of times the Monday night guys aren't priced correctly because the pricing comes out on Monday and it doesn't account for what those guys do. So I think one of the guys that will be chalked this week, but I don't know that I can stay away from it. It's Josh Jacobs. He is $4,700. This is a guy who had 23 touches, 85 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. And he also passed the eye test. If you were watching this game, you can see why he was drafted so high. Highly touted player. He looks really good. He's shifty. He's fast. He can break tackles. Just looks like the Raiders found themselves a running back going forward. So there's going to be a lot of cheap Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to be chalk. I just don't see a way around it. And another guy who I just can't stay away from is Eckler, Austin Eckler. I played him in cash last week, which I wish I would have just played him in my tournament lineup. He had 39 fantasy points. Look at these numbers, right? He had 6 catches, 96 yards, 12 attempts, 58 yards. The guy had all these touchdowns. Austin Eckler, still only 6,100. I was reading about how there is some positive correlation for Eckler. When Hunter Henry is out, Eckler catches even more balls. So we know Mike Williams is out too. So with the receiving corps just dinged up for the Chargers, I think they're going to rely more on Eckler in the passing game. So he's definitely a guy I want to have this week, cash or tournament. I am playing Austin Eckler. Another running back that I find appealing this week is that one of the guys that let me down. That is Matt Breida in Cincinnati. I've been thinking about going back to the well. He let me down last week, but I think Matt Breida is in a good spot here to do well. It's one of the guys I'm considering. If I don't go with Josh Jacobs, the thing that concerns me about Josh Jacobs is, even though he's known for catching balls out of the backfield from college, he didn't catch any balls this last weekend, or he caught one ball. But if Kansas City does go ahead and Oakland has to, is forced to throw the ball, I'm just concerned of how many passes Josh Jacobs can get in a game like that. And if he's going to be chalk, that could almost be bad chalk, right? So One guy to consider, just waiting on news, is Gio Bernard. Joe Mixon is still questionable. Um, I think it's a game time decision. If he was to be out, I'm pivoting to Gio Bernard. Yes, guys, I will pivot to Gio Bernard if that happens. So for now, we'll keep it this way. At receiver, well, I'm going to start with my stack, so I should just start there. This week, when you look at, I got this from Twitter, one of the analysts, I think Davis Maddock or something like that. Credit to him. He posted this, and this is target share for the first week. Catch percentages, receiving yards, touchdowns. And you can see on this list, John Brown. John Brown had himself a terrific game last week. 10 targets, 7 catches, 123 and a touchdown. This guy was just downfield all day. And I really like him in this game against the Giants. It's a road game for Buffalo, but last week they played the Jets in the same stadium. So I really like that, and we'll just go with the stack now. Again, I think Derek Carr is a good option if you're in cash, but I think it might be too chalky in tournaments. And for $200 more, I'm gonna go Josh Allen. I mean, passing wise, he didn't have that great of a game, but again, he's always gonna run the ball, and 20 fantasy points for this kind of stat line, as you can see, it's really good. I'm just not going to shy away from that. And his salary is actually down in a worse matchup. I don't know how they figure that out, but I'm stacking him. So one thing, again, there's a lot of cheap Raiders this week. If you're going to play a couple, it's just hard for me to play 3 Raiders. Regardless of how cheap they are. So, like, if you want to go cheap tight end, it's Waller, right? Waller is so cheap. He's like 3,300. But then if you're going to go Waller for 3,300, why wouldn't you just go wait like to 3K? I have no idea why he's priced at 3K. But Hawkinson, right? It's 3K. I saw it earlier. We just got to find him. Sorry. I'm in the wrong place. 3K for Hawkinson. And he looks every bit the part, right? He was drafted high. Everything about this guy has been terrific. His combine, workout, training camp, game 1, 9 targets, 6 catches. He was downfield. It doesn't look like linebackers can cover this guy. This guy looks like a beast. He looks like a beast already. 28 Draftkings points. And his price goes down? I mean, what are we missing here, right? And the Chargers are coming into town. So I think those are going to be 2 popular plays. I don't think I'm going to go that route because I'm playing John Brown and Josh Allen. I want to run it back. And if we look at the target share distribution, Evan Ingram is number 2 here, right? And we could possibly see him get even more targets. The New York Giants receiving core is already very thin. And Sterling Shepard has already been ruled out with concussion. So they're going to have even less receivers. I can see Eli just force feeding this guy, especially with Buffalo's good defense. Maybe he doesn't have as much time to get the ball off. So I'm going to run it back with Evan Ingram. And that's what I like here. At receiver, my next guy, I think DeAndre Hopkins is always a good play. If you guys been watching this week, paying attention, Jalen Ramsey and D-Hop have been loving each other up. Jalen came out and said he has, D-Hop has like a 99 rating in Madden. So that's pretty much unguardable. That's how it is in real life. I can't remember a time ever Jalen Ramsey giving credit to a wide receiver. But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, he's just so consistent, right? Always at the top of this board. You can see 13 targets, 8 catches, 111, 2 TDs. If you can fit him, I have no problem with that. He's a slate breaker. If he could have 3 touchdowns in this game, however, I'm not playing him. I think Sammy Watkins will be chalky too after that big performance. We're all victims of recency bias in the NFL. Um, we overreact week by week basis, and Sammy Watkins I think will have a lot of ownership. But the guy I'm gonna be rostering on most of my lineups is Juju. Played terrible last week in New England. The whole team did. I think they get back to doing what they do now that they're home with Seattle's defense coming into town. Andy Dalton, Andy Dalton. Yeah, you heard me correct. He torched them in this past weekend. Almost came away with the win in Seattle. So Big Ben, we know about his home road splits. He is far superior at home. And this week, I expect him to get back on track. So Jimmy or Juju Smith-Schuster is one guy that I'm definitely going to roster. I'm going to go to flex first because I played with this lineup a few times. And this week, I'm playing Kamara. If you watch that Monday night game, that thrilling game, Kamara just does it all. He can catch it. He can run it. He slips out of tackles. He breaks tackles. He is just very dynamic. And in this game, which it's going to be their revenge game, right? This is the last year playoff game. That passing interference, the new stupid rule that slows the game down even more now. New Orleans is coming to play. They're going to come to play. And I just like Kamara to get a lot of volume in this game. But you can see you can fit DeAndre Hopkins if you wanted to. I don't mind that. But I'm going to go Kamara. So I'm going with the 3 running back lineup. And that leaves me with about 5K, for all of these receivers. So again, we talked about the chalk, right? And it being cheap Raiders. So if I'm going to play 2 Raiders, I think I'm going to go to Tyrell Williams. I played him in my season long in the league. I have Antonio Brown, and that worked out terrific. But he looks like a guy that could have a great year. Right out the gate, he had a touchdown on the Raiders' opening drive that set the tone for the rest of the game Monday night. He had 7 targets, 6 receptions, 1 touchdown, 25 Draftkings points. Again, if Oakland's going to be trailing in this game and they're going to have to throw the ball, this is their wide receiver 1 now. I just expect them to see some similar volume, maybe even more. So I like Tyrell the Gazelle Williams in that spot. So there you have it, guys. I think this is the lineup I'm going to go with. Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, Eckler, John Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyrell Williams, Evan Ingram, Kamara, and Texas defense. I don't necessarily trust Josh Jacobs just yet. And again, he might come out. That leaves me with enough money to pivot to Gio or Matt Breida. Again, Matt Breida let me down last week, but I think he's in a prime position to bounce back here. So those are potential guys that I'll pivot to. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as Josh Jacobs. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel and tune in for more. I might be making another video if there's injuries or anything like that tomorrow morning to kind of update these lineups. I've only put in 1, and this is the one. I might be putting in a couple more as well. All right, guys. Well, have a good weekend and happy football.